1143 AD, 5037 AM. An Englishman named Robert of Ketton translated the Islamic Quran. One the discoverers Bourston. 1144 AD, 5038 AM. Edessa fell to the Muslims and the Second Crusade ended in failure. This was 434 years after 710 AD, when the Muslims invaded Spain. One pirates and the Lost Templar fleet. 1145 AD, 5039 AM. A comet appeared as recorded by Europeans. It was artistically drawn by a monk named Eadwine. This is the approximate date for the birth of the Gothic teacher and chronologist Joachim of Floris. 1. Introduction to Comets. 1146 AD, 5040 AM. In this year throughout Germany, the able-bodied male population amassed into a crusader army after hearing an agent of the Vatican named Bernard preach among them. The man was gifted and instilled in them a religious fervour to smite the Muslims who had dared to take back the Christian holdings earlier crusaders had died for. The papacy trained men to go out and excite the population, having found that Europeans were zealous to protect the Holy Land. The papacy wanted armies and saw in this a scheme to get rich. In just a few short years, the Inquisition would bleed Europe of its widowed women by burning many of them at the stake and confiscating their wealth. The spirit of the papacy is demonstrated in the letter of Bernard written to Pope Eugenius III, when he travelled among the Germans under King Conrad II. Quote, "I opened my mouth, I spoke, and at once the Crusaders have multiplied to infinity. Villages and towns are now deserted. You will scarcely find one man to every 7 women. Everywhere you see widows whose husbands are still alive." Unquote. This was a literal exodus of masses of Germans, many who would not make it back from the battles of the Second Crusade, which was still ongoing. This was exactly 2592 years after the exodus of Israel from Egypt in 1447 BC, an ancient year when the Israelites were heading toward the Holy Land. 1. History in quotations. 1147 AD, 5041 AM. European Christian armies failed to take Jerusalem. The Second Crusade would continue on through 1149. This is 52 years after the spirit of the Crusades was ignited in Europe. 1. Wars that changed the world. 1150 AD, 5044 AM. The Chinese recorded an exponential increase in comet activity, writing that there appeared 10 times as many comets as usual. This was in fact the middle of the train of the Vials of Phoenix Comet Group. 1154 AD, 5048 AM. Al-Idrisi wrote that the earth was round like a sphere. 1. History in quotations. 1163 AD, 5057 AM. The Roman Catholic Church held a council at Tours in which it was determined that the Albigensians were heretics. The Albigensians were Christians who threatened the authority of the Roman Church in 2 ways. They believed strongly that the Holy Scriptures were to be made available to all people, not just priests, and not just written in Latin, and they taught that they did not have to obey Rome. They believed that the Roman Church was illa meretrix, the whore of the apocalypse upon the scarlet beast. The Albigensian movement was popular and widespread, and the Dominican order of agents and monks was founded to combat it. From the date of this council to the extermination of the Albigensians by the bloodthirsty Catholic armies would pass 66 years, or 792 months to 1229 AD. 1. The Albigensian heresy. 1167 AD, 5061 AM. Benjamin of Tudela, a Jew, wrote that the 2 great metropolises of the world were Constantinople and Baghdad in Babylon. Merchants from all over the world visited both of these cities. Interestingly, Constantinople was peopled with the descendants of Israelites and Japhethites, Baghdad peopled with the descendants of Ishmael, Esau, Israel, and other Semites, both centres of population descended from Abraham. 1. History in quotations. 1168 AD, 5062 AM. The Toltec city of Tolan in Mexico was destroyed, and the Mixtec begin to rule. 1. Primitive mythology. 1169 AD, 5063 AM. Mount Etna in Sicily erupted, attended by earthquakes, killing 15,000 people. even as far as 18 miles away in the village of Catania. One great disasters. 1178 AD, 5072 AM. A monk named Gervais recorded that at Canterbury, English monks watched in amazement as a clearly visible crescent moon split in two, then set on fire like a torch, turning black on June 25th. What is described is either a volcanic eruption on the moon or the impact of a meteorite. This impact begins an 868-year timeline to the impact of a gigantic object into the North American continent in 2046 AD. 434 years is a period of judged time, as shown in CHRONICON 1, Voyages of the Pyramid Builders. 1179 AD, 5073 AM. The Third Lateran Council, summoned by Pope Alexander III, was attended by over 1,000 bishops and abbots, even from England, Scotland and Ireland, along with many dignitaries representing the kings and queens of Europe. This council formally condemned the Albigensians in France, reiterating the decrees of 1163. This set the stage for the Catholic Church's extermination of these innocent and God-fearing people. Snorri Sturluson of Iceland was born in this year, died 1241 AD. He would translate the Vikings' Eddas from older manuscripts that have not survived.